Hello everyone, this is Richard from Modern Healthspan. Today we'll have a look at this paper, Life Course Predictors of Young Men Surviving to Age 90 in a Cohort Study, the Manitoba follow-up study. I thought it was interesting because it has over 3,900 participants and extended over 70 years. Let's have a look at what the study is about. Its purpose was to identify factors which at various time points in life are associated with reaching the age of 90. It was started in 1948 with major checks at 12-year intervals. The factors that were considered were childhood illness, blood pressure, BMI, chronic diseases, and ECG findings. After 1996, they also added the short-form 36 questionnaire. Regression analysis was then used to identify which of these factors was a significant predictor of survival at each time point. A total of 3,976 men who were born in or before 1928 were included, as they could reach the 90th birthday by the study cutoff of 2018. Of these, 721 lived until 90. The factors which were significant changed over time. In 1948, it was lower systolic blood pressure, a lower BMI, and not smoking. In 1960, 12 years later, it was lower blood pressure, lower BMI, and not smoking, plus no major ECG changes, which would imply issues with the heart. In 1972, blood pressure and smoking were still there, along with chronic disease states such as diabetes and cancer. In 1984, only the systolic blood pressure was significant. Not smoking, ECG, and disease states were still there. In 1996, what mattered was the number of disease states as well as physical and mental well-being. By 2008, the only significant predictor was higher physical function. So we can see that the factors change with time, from blood pressure and BMI when young, chronic illness in middle age, and finally, functional status. A couple of things from the paper that I wanted to explain. The first of these is backward and forward stepwise regression, which is what they used in the paper to identify the key parameters. Now, I am not a statistician, so this is my simplified explanation of this process, so hopefully it makes sense within the context of the paper. Starting off with forward regression. In this diagram, x1, x2, etc. are the variables which are being studied, so systolic blood pressure, BMI, and so on. First, the one that most strongly predicts the outcome and makes a significant difference is added to the regression model, and the model is run again. And the next strongest predictor, which also meets a significance gate, is then added. If the impact of adding x5 to the model is significant, it's kept, and the next variable is tried. This continues until there is no more variables which make a significant difference in terms of predictability of the outcome. The variables which are included in the model are the ones that the paper reports. And backward stepwise regression is the opposite. At the start, all the variables are included in the model. The one that is least strong in predicting the outcome is removed, and the model is tested again. Does it significantly change the predictability? If not, the variable remains out. And the next one is removed. As before, this is repeated until removing a variable makes the model significantly less effective. They performed both forward and backward regression and ended up with the same answers in each case. The short-form survey is a 36-question self-reported survey, and there is one for mental health and one for physical health. It was developed in 1992 and so was not available before then. There is a free version available from RAND and also a commercial version. Here is a sample of the type of questions that appear on the form. For example, does your health limit you from playing golf or walking upstairs? And similar questions. A little background on the participants in the survey. They are mostly aircrew from the Royal Canadian Air Force just after the war, and the trial was started on July 1st, 1948, with 3,983 participants. And unsurprisingly, most of them have remained in Canada since then. So probably not much ethnic diversity, and all male, but there was a wide range of differences in lifestyle, from unemployed laborers to CEOs. Here is the high-level data for the participation. Although there was more frequent contact, the major surveys were performed every 12 years, from 1948 through to 2008. The number who were still alive for the survey is shown here, with 770 still being alive in 2008. The number who were lost to follow-up is very low for a study of this length, a total of 21. Here is the number of participants who were over 90 at each time point, and the average age of the cohort, and again at each time point, from 31.3 at the beginning to 86.4 at the end. Looking at what mattered at each time point. The events are down the side, and the time points across the top. I've added the average age at each time point to make it easier to relate to the results. In each column, we can see the relevance of each condition to the outcome. NC means not counted because there were too few occurrences for it to have any significance, and NA is not available. In the first test, at the beginning of the trial, the diastolic blood pressure, BMI, and smoking were significant. 12 years later, this widened to include both blood pressure values and abnormalities in electrocardiogram readings. In 1972, when the cohort average age was 50, BMI itself was no longer significant, but blood pressure and the chronic diseases were added. Next, of the blood pressures, only systolic was significant, along with smoking, heart health, and other diseases. This continues in 1996 with the cohort average age of 76.9, where blood pressure was gone, and they added in the SF-36 questionnaires. Finally, in 2008, with the average age of the participants 86.4, only the physical ability, as measured by the physical SF-36 questionnaire, was significant. It should be noted that the SF-36 questionnaires were developed in the early 90s, and so it was not available before the 1996 test. It may have had significance before then, though the kind of physical capability it measured would have been almost universal at most of the earlier time points. I found the way the factors that predicted the ability to live until 90 changed over time, from physiological functions like BMI and blood pressure to chronic diseases, very interesting. What I did find especially insightful was that in the last time section, physical capability was the only significant variable when the cohort was in their 80s and 90s. For me, this shows the importance of continued exercise and maintaining muscle mass as we get older. Sleep and stress management are vital for longevity, and my wife and I have been looking for ways to improve our sleep quality. After doing our research, we realized that magnesium is the key. Magnesium is a crucial mineral in hundreds of reactions in our body, and it has an impact on everything from metabolism to sleep to energy, even bone and muscle health. It also has a role to play in stress response. So deficiency in this basic nutrient leads to bad sleep quality, low energy, accumulating stress, and impacts our overall health. There are also different forms of magnesium, and it's difficult to get all of it in your diet. 3 months ago, we started trying a magnesium supplement from BiOptimizers. Their Magnesium Breakthrough formulation has 7 different forms of magnesium, all of which have a different function in the body. For myself, I really notice the difference. I frequently get jumpy legs at night, but with Magnesium Breakthrough, I'm not disturbed by my jumpy legs, and I get a better, deeper sleep. We're happy to tell you that BiOptimizers is offering a 10% discount for this special magnesium formula to our audience. Just go to www.magnesiumbreakthrough.com/modern or click on the link in the description and use the coupon code MODERN10 for a 10% discount. Thank you so much for your support, as always.